Hyupnos has started to climb the ranks on my list of favorite champions. I am such a fan of this champion, and he has helped me through some pretty significant walls as I've progressed through the game. My initial impression of this champion was that he was only really going to be good in Arena, but that has not been the case. He has pushed me, like I said, through several walls in Storyline, as well as Soul Mine, and then he's also doing well in the faction-specific Soul Mine. I don't recommend really taking him into any dungeons or anything, but as far as Soul Mine and Storyline, he's actually helped me out a ton, and then again in Arena, he's just fantastic. He brings so much to the fight. So let's go through his skills real quick and talk about him, and then we'll talk about how to gear him and some ways that you can run him, okay? His ultimate casts an arcane spell to suppress an enemy. The suppressed enemy cannot take any action. For 3 seconds during the suppression period, it will continue to deal 200% attack damage to the enemy. And then Power Surge will do damage to all enemies within a small range around the target. So you'll see the effect. I'll show some gameplay in a little bit, and you'll see this is where they get the chains around them and they're just completely locked down. 3 seconds is a long time to take someone out of a fight. That's a really long time in this game. His common becomes a center of psionic powers and continuously gathers energy for 3 seconds. If the enemy casts an ability within the boundary, it suffers Power Surge, taking damage. The damage here is nice. The big appeal here is the ability cancel, and then the stun after gather all the energy around and bombards his foes, dealing attack damage and stunning them for 3 seconds. Another 3-second crowd control, and this can be more than one. This is the skill that you see him use where the blue ring goes around him. And you'll hear a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people and kind of complain of this champion about like no one's ever in the blue circle. And that can be unfortunate, but the value that it brings when someone is in the blue circle is just really hard to match. You know, when Bailey teleports into the ring, or when someone's pushed you, when Creek comes into the, you know, pushes your team back. When Hyupnos casts this, anytime they try to do anything in that circle, they're just going to go into a state of being stunned. So it's going to cancel their move, stun them, and then he's going to do the damage explosion thing and stun them again. It's really, really gross. And then when you get his talent up, any allies within the circle get a speed boost. So that way you can kind of negate the blue circle doing nothing if no one's in it. You know what I mean? You can give your allies a speed boost that are in it. So it's a really good skill. It's really, really strong. Again, you'll see it in a little bit. Common. This just basically increases the damage enemies take, and it can be applied to more enemies with talents. And then here, if the enemy takes damage within 3 seconds from a debuff imposed, the enemy will lose HP equal to 100%, 120% of attack and 1% of their max HP. So he's just a crowd control monster, and then offering the, you know, in essence, the damage reduction, and then a little bit of max HP damage here. Just a solid champ all around, okay? I do have his exclusive up to 20, and that's because I want that ult to come out as quickly as possible. I want to start locking the enemies down as absolutely quickly as I can, okay? So I went with a light gap set. My recommendations for this champ are a light gap set or just all HP sets. I happen to have a defense set here, but that's just kind of how it worked out. Light gap set, you can go HP, HP, HP across the bottom. You can go HP, HP damage reduction across the bottom, or you can go HP crit damage reduction, HP across the bottom. It kind of depends on where you most heavily want to use this champ. PVE environments don't crit, so if you're going to be leaning more PVE, I would go defense reduction on the boots if you wanted to go that route. If you're going to be leaning very heavily Arena with this champ, then crit damage reduction here is something to consider. But also, you can't really go wrong with just all HP across the bottom, all right? Alternatively, a Hawkeye set is not bad for this champ because, again, they do have a lot of debuffs and control effects. Now, again, in PvE, it at least seems to be the case that you don't need accuracy in a PvE environment. It seems like your champs are just going to land their debuffs, and that's that. Again, if you want to focus Arena a little bit more heavily, might not be a bad idea to work a Hawkeye set in or try to get some accuracy in your substats, okay? So any combination of Light Gap, Vigorous, and Hawkeye sets would be my recommendation for this champ. And then, again, I think exclusive has felt very worth it to me up to 20. I don't know that it would be one of the first few champs that I get to 20. If you're a little bit earlier on, I would still focus champs like Serena, Masrani is not bad, Crete, there are more popular options, but if this is a champ that you're going to invest in over time and you have the extra resources, I definitely think getting the exclusive to 20 at least is not a bad move. And eventually I will get him to 30, I think. It's just going to be a while. I've got several other champs ahead of him in line. So not a priority for the exclusive, but a good candidate for the exclusive when you find yourself with some extra resources and know when to put them in specifically, okay? So again, particularly shines in Arena, and I don't know if I have any footage of that. I guess we'll see. I will cut now to some footage, just some PVE storyline footage of the wall that I finally did break through, and then just the fact that they just continue to keep moving with Hyupnos. I swap him in and out periodically, so we'll cut to that real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about a few more things. All right, I'm not going to talk through the whole thing, but I just want you to pay attention to Serena here. Watch how quickly she's losing health from this wolf attacking her, and watch Hyupnos alleviate that. With the way that her health was draining, even during her ult, the wolf was probably going to take her out, which was going to leave us short a healer, which is really, really tough to overcome, at least with the comp I'm running. So he does things like that throughout the entire bit of footage that I've got here, and then you'll notice again. I might touch a little bit more on what he's doing in Arena, but those moments where he stops completely someone's output on when they're focusing someone like my Serena or something that keeps her in the fight is a big reason why we're able to continue to push through these levels. So just keep an eye on when he's using his ult, who's in the circle with him when he's casting a circle, stuff like that. All right, so there's a look at Hyupnos in action in arena and storyline. Hyupnos is really, really good. Really, really effective. And I regularly beat teams in arena, especially in 3v3 arena where I have Hyupnos on a different team. I have Hyupnos on that team to assist them with fighting teams higher power level than they are. And I regularly beat teams 300,000 plus stronger than my team. And I think it's got a lot to do with Hyupnos. Really, really effective in the fight. So let's talk about a few prototypes that I think are good to pair with Hyupnos, and then we'll get out of here, okay? I think Scholar's Monument's pretty good across the board. Honestly, I think it's pretty decent. Temporal Beetle, I think, is a fantastic prototype to run if you're going to run Hyupnos. I think extending the length of that stun by 1.3, and I think it's 1.5 seconds maxed. Yeah, 1.5 seconds when it's maxed out it's a long time to add to an already long stun, okay? Treant Heart, I think, is going to be pretty helpful as well. I do anticipate over time resistance becoming a bigger part of the meta in PvP. I don't know how hard it's being focused right now, but I think eventually people are going to start to lean into it a little bit more on certain champs. And in those situations, this could be pretty helpful. Maybe not so much just right now, though. Coronate's excellent, but not for Hyupnos. This one's not bad, too. When an allied support hero misses an enemy when attempting to inflict a debuff, the user gains 25 accuracy. This effect stacks up to 3 times. I think this one, again, kind of in the same way Treant Heart could be helpful. I think this one kind of is helpful just in another direction, in a bit of a different way. And then you've got your 2 rare ones here, which are Brilliance is one of the rare ones, right? Yeah. These are both fine. Obviously not ideal once you start getting your hands on some of the better ones. I think Temporal Beetle is probably the way to go if you're looking for the most optimal prototype for Hyupnos. I think Temporal Beetle is pretty fantastic, okay? And that's it. That's my case for Hyupnos. I think Hyupnos is killer. I don't think you have to have Hyupnos evolved very far to use him effectively, because again, all he really needs to do is be alive and be able to land debuffs. And you could, there's a conversation to be had about running him frontline so he gets his ult quicker. But if he's a little bit squishier, if he's got fewer evolutions and you're having a harder time, just run all HP across the board, get a little bit of accuracy if you want to use him in arena, and he can still contribute very heavily because you're not relying on his damage. You just have to keep him alive and let him do his thing. So that's it. I do think that this champ will help you get through some situations in PvE. Obviously, he's not the answer to everything, but he's definitely been the answer to some stages for me. So that's it. I hope this was helpful. If it was, liking the video is dope. Subscribing if you want to see more of what I do is also pretty dope. And that's it. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all. Later.